Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paper Cranes and I like to make music and mental health content. So if that is something that you enjoy, please make sure to subscribe. That would be amazing. Please excuse my energy in today's video. I am a little bit tired because I may or may not have been eating some bad food lately, which may or may not have contributed to my lack of energy. Regardless of that, I really wanted to make this video today. I've got a new little mini series that I would like to start. The mini series will be based on attachment styles, and a lot of you may not know what attachment styles is. It's a very valuable topic to be aware of and to educate yourself on, because a lot of people, if not everyone, should be able to relate to some sort of attachment style. Most people are securely attached, and much like the title, securely attached, they are securely attached to people. They interact well with others, they don't have any issues socially, they don't really have much anxiety or mental health issues. They grew up in a very loving and attentive caregiver relationship, so their relationship was secure, so they're securely attached. That's the main attachment style. So I don't really want to focus on secure attachment because I think it's quite self-explanatory. Like, it's basically the opposite to anyone that has issues. So there are three main attachment styles that I would like to focus on, and that is anxious ambivalent, anxious avoidant, and anxious disorganized. And today I want to focus on anxious ambivalent. The reason I want to focus on anxious ambivalent first is because this is the one that I most relate to. I have definitely experienced the anxious ambivalent attachment style, and I used to be this attachment constantly, but I feel like I've switched my anxious ambivalent attachment style into a secure attachment style through education and basically just working on myself. So I'll definitely get into how you can change your attachment style towards the end of the video. So I've got some notes in front of me and I will be reading from these notes. Anxious ambivalent, in brackets it can also be considered as preoccupied or resistant. And for those of you who don't know what ambivalent means, basically means mixed feelings or like confusion, uncertainty. Yeah. Anxious ambivalent people constantly seek love and reassurance and have a constant fear of abandonment. Their thoughts and feelings often feel like reality. What I mean by that is when an anxious ambivalent person has a thought, they don't question that thought. It's instantly made reality. So say, oh, my dog doesn't love me. There's no questioning about that thought or why I'm thinking that or if that's realistic. It's instantly made reality. You instantly feel and believe that your dog doesn't love you. For example, once they have these thoughts, it's hard to see any other perspective. Anxious ambivalent people are very codependent, clingy, and always seeking reassurance. They can also create an ideal partner, and when the partner doesn't fit these requirements, anxious ambivalent people can become very upset. They have poor emotional boundaries, they're overbearing, and they can be very smothering and very clingy. As a child, they mirror the parent's emotions. What I mean by this, for example, is maybe the child might be hungry and the parent might be anxious, and the parent is not really meeting the child's needs because of how anxious the parent is, and maybe they don't really know what the child wants. So the child will actually mirror the parent's emotions and also become anxious. So it's this very confused and mixed way of thinking and feeling from a very young age. Anxious ambivalent people may have experienced their parents being unavailable and inconsistent with their emotions and attentiveness. This is causing more anxiety for the child. The parent has no sense of priority in attentiveness towards the child. For example, the child might fall over and hurt themselves and the parent isn't very attentive towards the child, and then the next day the child might slam the door a bit too hard and the parent will get really upset. There's this imbalance of priority in attentiveness towards the child. So it's a bit of a backwards parenting, you could say. Anxious ambivalent people are always looking for clues that someone might abandon them. They often over-focus on relationships and situations. So always overthinking, always thinking of scenarios and reasons why someone will leave them. These people may self-soothe by talking, convincing people, or trying to prove their worth. These people have a very inconsistent and mixed feelings towards the parents. So that's anxious ambivalent in a nutshell. Yeah, so anxious ambivalent people are always looking for reassurance. They're always seeking that reassurance from people, making sure that the other person is okay and they're not going to leave them. This can also be applied in all different types of relationships. So say if you're meeting someone for coffee, an anxious ambivalent person may always be texting them before the date saying, "You're still okay for coffee? I'm so sorry if I'm being annoying. Just let me know if you want to reschedule." And it's this very protective way of trying not to get hurt. It can also be seen as very manipulative because you're trying to get the other person to make you feel better, and sometimes you might even make them feel bad because you're always apologizing and, you know, making them feel like, oh, you know, what am I saying? You get what I'm saying. Yeah, so they're always seeking reassurance. An anxious ambivalent attachment style can also form from two parents that are very different. So you may be getting two different reactions from two different parents, which can also create ambivalent feelings. Your very mixed way of feeling as a kid.
Just want to pop in here and say that I think you can also get this type of attachment style, or any of these types of attachment styles, from the people that you hang out with in your life when you're a young kid as well. So the people that you're surrounding yourself with as a kid can also impact your attachment style, and I feel like I relate to this a lot more, but yeah, each to their own, everyone's different. I also think that you can develop these types of attachment styles genetically as well, so you can get passed down an attachment style from your parents, for example. Yeah.
And you may not realize that you felt like this as a kid until you're hit with this type of information, which would probably only come up in life if you were speaking to some sort of mental health professional. I don't consider myself a professional yet, but I am a qualified counsellor, so I never learnt about this topic until I started my counselling course and started learning about all this stuff. So these are the type of things that would mainly only be brought up in therapy or in some sort of mental health service circumstance of some kind. I was definitely this attachment style, but I feel like I've moved into a secure attachment now, and I'm going to go through some ways that you can help yourself get out of this attachment style. Number one, try to make an effort when someone is showing you love. So instead of brushing it away, take a second to understand the situation and really take in the emotions of someone else, because anxious ambivalent people are obviously stuck with their thoughts that instantly become reality, so there's no challenge of these thoughts. So this point is making you say, hang on, when someone is showing you love, don't instantly disregard that emotion and replace it with whatever you think is reality. Take a second to actually realize that, oh, okay, maybe I'm having a very unproductive, unhelpful way of thinking right now because this person is trying to show me love, but my thoughts are telling me that they don't love me. There's this imbalance of reality and your thoughts, and you really have to take a second to think about what you're thinking about and challenge that thought and say, is this actually a reality? Is this actually true all of the time? It's a very all or nothing way of thinking, and you just have to stop and challenge it. Another way of moving into a secure attachment style is to try and become more independent. So not always relying on other people and not always looking for validation and reassurance from other people. It's mainly about trying to validate yourself and give yourself validation. Anxious ambivalent people are always seeking reassurance and validation from others, and they have a hard time trying to do it for themselves. So becoming more independent is definitely a way of moving into more of a secure attachment. And there are definitely a lot of personalized ways that you can do this. It's sometimes hard to think of ways by yourself without a counselor or a therapist or a psychologist. But one example might be, instead of relying on your partner to get you to the shops, for example, you might try and find your own way there and become more independent and validate yourself and let yourself know that you can do it by yourself. You don't need someone else to take you somewhere. Another way to move into a secure attachment is mindfulness. Anxious ambivalent people always worry about the past and the future. They're never really focused on the present and living in the moment. They're always worrying about what's going to happen next. So practicing mindful activities can be very, very, very helpful. One major one that every therapist and counselor is going to tell you is breathing exercises. You want to make sure that you are in the present moment. So focusing on your breathing. One way of doing this is you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold it for 4 seconds, and you let it out for 4 seconds. One thing that I've learned from another psychologist that I've been watching on YouTube is she says, breathe in positive energy, hold it, and then you breathe out the negative energy, for example. So that's one way of being mindful. There's definitely a lot of other ways, but you can ask me in the comments if you want. And then one final way of becoming more securely attached is setting boundaries in relationships. So really trying to restrict yourself from becoming too clingy. And I feel like you need to incorporate all the previous points in order to accomplish this point. It's mainly about you challenging these negative thoughts and distancing yourself from others before you become too overbearing or too smothering or too clingy. So I hope that was helpful. Those were some ways that you can move towards a more securely attached relationship and life. Let me know down in the comments if you are an anxious ambivalent person, much like I used to be. I would love to hear your experience and how you relate to this video. Would be very good to know. If you would like to learn more about yourself and your attachment style, especially if it is anxious ambivalent, I am also a counsellor, as you should know if you have been watching my channel. If you would like any counselling from me, I do offer that. So feel free to check out the link in the description. It will take you to a Facebook page called Paper Crane Counselling, and you can reach out through that Facebook page. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure to give it a like down below. I hope you're all having a lovely day and you're all smiling until your cheeks hurt, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!